Okay, I'm gonna do this kind of super out of order, but more based on going from things I have experience with to more theoretical things. So first, distance care. Um, we talked about it with scanners and stuff, but I had the opportunity a couple of years ago to hang out in the British Columbia one of the three communications hubs for emergency medical response, and like one of the things that came up is we got a call from a girl whose boyfriend had overdosed. And the person who was handling the call got her address and made sure that everything was safe and dispatched people to respond, but then walked her through CPR. And like walking through people through immediate interventions is something that distance care is more than equipped for. And even like we were talking about rural areas and stuff, but in parts of BC, like there's one particular island, I forget which one, but there was an emergency call there that afternoon too. And so I got to see like how it's set up. So how it works, I think if someone had a heart attack, was they call 911, and then the first responders are dispatched. They're first responders, which means they have like a couple of weeks of training, but basically can't do anything. Like even my level of training, which was the next level up, I'm only allowed to administer. Well, I was only allowed to administer like 5 drugs. So the first responders go, and they don't have an ambulance. They have an SUV, and then they take the person down to the docks, where a water taxi picks them up and takes them to the next island over, which has a ferry, which can be commandeered to go out of schedule to take that person to the mainland, where they can get on an ambulance and get to the hospital. And it's either that or medevac. So either that whole production or a helicopter, and that's how you get rural medicine. And so, I mean, that's like how it's dealt with now. And I mean, it's not ideal, but people get the care they need. And I mean, like, more systems need helicopters, basically. And so, I mean, from distance care, I think like having scanners so you have more data when you're determining whether you can go with the first responders or need the helicopter. More data would be better, and it would help with determining when visits were necessary, and I think it would be an initial investment, but it would end up cheaper overall for an overworked medical system, and allow for more preventative medicine to reduce ER visits, because ER visits are like wicked expensive for the system. Like, no matter what anyone's insurance is, they're wicked expensive for the system. So I think distance medicine is a really interesting field. But then going to medical devices like robotics, and that is something I find really exciting. Like the pills that can monitor the system, like you swallow it and then it's everything. And I think that networking things is always really complicated, and we need more encryption and less of the FBI trying to kill encryption. And with those devices in particular, I have a lot of friends who have autoimmune disorders, like arthritis. And having that monitoring system would set up baselines and allow for forewarning for when a flare up is going to happen, which I think would be really great, spare people unnecessary suffering, allow for faster treatment and better recovery times, and less lost time to illness overall. And so I think that that would work really well if it were more widely available. And then to availability of medical tech, and the idea of amputations, and like we keep coming back to the robot arm, but like the guy who has the machine-induced synesthesia, like he can hear colors now, and that's awesome. But it's not something he got for fun. It's something that's making up for something that was already wrong. Like I've been sick for the past couple of weeks, and last week I spent a fair chunk of it not able to hear out of my left ear. And that was temporary due to just awful sinus infection, but if it had been permanent, I really like having binaural hearing. And so I would have really wanted to address that. And there's enough technology available now that I probably could have gotten a cochlear implant. If that was what was wrong with my hearing. But if I was already getting that, it would be cool to get an implant that would let me hear more frequencies, to hear higher pitched sounds, or to hear better, or to hear more of a distance. And if I'm already correcting it, if I'm already correcting a lack, why not go further? Because that would be cool. And like people who have to get prostheses, like a lot of people who have to get them, they don't really have the options for cool prostheses yet. Like, not ones that do extra things, not like a robot hand would be cool. So people get art. Get like really artsy, pretty prostheses. I have a friend who, well, actually, someone I knew from high school, a Facebook friend, who lost the lower part of her leg in an accident. And she's someone who's always been very conscious and deliberate about her appearance. So she ended up, once it was time to get a more permanent prosthesis,